It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery. This is Hump Day Hangouts episode 111, the week before Christmas. We've got some festive members on with us today. Chris, how you doing, bud?
Doing good. Where's your hat, man?
I don't have my hat today. I didn't have time to find it, unfortunately. Hernan, how are you?
Hey guys, hey everyone, what's up? It's really, really good to be here. Excited to be here.
Oh, I thought those were elf ears, but they're just headphones.
Yeah, no. I have that on the back, you know, just as
okay, the Charlie Brown tree. And then Marco,
Yeah.
Marco's got his hat on too. How you doing, Marco?
Yes, sir. I'm celebrating Christmas Costa Rican style, dude. Tank top and shorts.
Nice.
Love it.
So I think we had a couple of short announcements. Obviously, we want to wish everybody Merry Christmas because this is the last Wednesday before Christmas. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all of that to you and all of your families as well. Also, I know we had a couple of announcements as far as we got a Christmas promotion going on right now. Hernan, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, in fact, tomorrow we're going to have a nice webinar about that. I mean, we're going to go through syndication a little bit. It's going to be a ton of fun. And we're also going to uncover some good promotion that we're doing for Christmas. So I'm going to leave here the link for the webinar. In case you guys haven't joined yet, you can do it. It's going to be 3:30 p.m. So that's that. Then just so you know, guys, 10% of whatever we make, I think we decided on 10% at the end of the day. We're gonna be giving it to charity. So have that in mind. If you have been on the fence, you know, on purchasing anything related to Semantic Mastery, that is okay.
Yeah, and we're donating to two children's charities. One's Toys for Tots, which is sponsored by the USMC, United States Marine Corps, as well as the Shriners Hospital for Children, which is a great organization for helping kids with, you know, medical conditions. So go ahead.
Yeah, just have we enabled the donate button? Because if they don't want to buy, but they still want to donate.
Sure. I don't know if we have or not.
I can't remember if we did. We were supposed to do that, so they could just go ahead and donate. Even if they didn't want to buy, if they're in the Christmas spirit and they want to donate to the kids, then they're more than welcome to do it. So if we haven't done that, we need to get that.
Yeah, we should, absolutely.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, we will email them. We will email them that tomorrow. So
okay.
Well, other than that, do we have anything else to announce, Hernan?
I think that yeah, we're gonna have a big launch on January about Video Powerhouse. It's gonna be amazing, guys. I mean, we have the whole team. Marco is cracking the whip on the team to get that going. It's gonna be amazing. It's the whole shebang, the whole 9 yards. IFTTT SEO version 2.0 standards. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be like anything that you have seen before, and you know, it's gonna be a really, really good product to have in mind. So that's pretty much it.
So you heard it here first. All right, guys, we're going to jump into some questions. I'm going to grab the screen. Guys, let me know if you're not seeing me. Should be all right, though.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got a few questions. Not that many. Apparently, our redirect link was down for the last week because it was set up incorrectly. So I apologize for that, guys. It's fixed now. Thanks for letting me know. We will make sure that we publicly punish the VA that did that. No, I'm kidding. But thanks for letting me know. That shouldn't have happened, and apparently it was wrong. So, all right, Lori's up. She says, "Hi there, SM team. It took me a while to figure out how to find a way to post this question." And yeah, that's probably because that link was down, Lori, and we apologize for that. It's typically always set up correctly, but I don't know what happened this past week. Thanks, Greg and Marco, for the help. I was wondering if any of you know of a tool that can estimate pay-per-click conversion rates for a specific niche. Might be wishful thinking, but we have a potential PPC client with multiple U.S. and international locations that wants to know this. Just not sure of how to supply that info. Thanks in advance. I don't know of any that would do that, and I'm certainly open to hearing the opinions of Marco and Hernan and Chris, but I don't know of any that do that. In my opinion, I don't know that I mean, there's so many variables there about conversion rates that, you know, depending on your landing page, your offer, your ad, the quality of traffic, there's so many variables there. I don't know that you can get a estimated conversion rate from any sort of software application. I could be wrong. Have you guys ever heard of something like that?
No, I mean, there are some standards, like niche specific standards. You know, you have X% conversion rate for, I don't know, for lawyers, for XYZ. But yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of hard without inputting data, Lori. For example, on AdWords, you can estimate how many conversions you can get, but after you have run the campaign long enough, you know, so you have been running the campaign for a month. The same with Facebook. They have just launched a new tool that will allow you to estimate the conversions that you will get based on the budget, the daily budget that you're investing, you know, but that's with data already. So it's kind of hard to say off the bat, because there's so many things that are affecting that. And it's, you know, it's stuff in the dark, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The variables are, you know, if you have your own data to input into like a calculator, a conversion calculator, which those are, you know, you can find those in Excel spreadsheets and Google Docs and things like that, which are like ROI calculators, return on investment calculators, that kind of stuff. You can find those, but you have to input your own data. So your own figures for like what your click-through rate is, what your cost per acquisition is, what your conversion rate is, and that kind of stuff. And then it can estimate based upon your own data and, you know, historical data from your own account. But as far as just like benchmarking, you know, specific niches with conversion rate, there's just too many variables. I don't know that that's data offered anywhere. If it is, I can imagine it's quite a range of, instead of just like a specific number, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the way that I sell this to a client is I always tell them that you can't get this information. You can't get an estimate on conversion rates. You can get general, as Hernan said, and niche specific rates. But what you could do, and the way that I sell this, is we'll run the campaign 3 to 5 days on a limited budget so that we can gather data. And then from the data, we can go ahead and take the information. And then I have enough experience with AdWords where I can tell the client, this is what you can expect. And we will be increasing it over time. We can increase the conversion rates over time. We tweak the ads, we tweak the landing page. So it will go up as we go along, but there's no way to give you an estimate before we, as Hernan said, before we have data. I need the data so that I can give you the estimates. And the way you do that is you run a limited campaign, 3 to 5 days, and then you'll have all of the data that you need so that you can go back to the client and say, well, now this is what we can do for you.
That's right. And that's what I was saying, you know, like AdWords ROI calculator, you could just Google that and you can probably find some here. Would help you. You just Google some and look for that. But again, it's going to ask you to input some data first. And based upon that data that you input, it will give you some estimations, but it's going to require some of your own data, just like what Marco said. And that's exactly how I would do it too, is I would, you know, whenever I'm proposing pay-per-click, which guys, most of you probably already know, I've done SEO most of my career. I just started doing pay-per-click, PPC, search PPC stuff recently within like the last 6 months. And so I've approached a lot of my SEO clients with it because I think it's necessary for local marketing now to do AdWords. I think it's absolutely necessary. So it's the same thing as I approached my SEO clients who had a bad taste about AdWords, right? and did the same thing. I said, look, you know, let's work with a limited budget. I'll set up the campaign. We'll run, you know, a few days worth of data or a couple weeks worth of data, whatever, throw it, see what kind of results we can get. And that'll give us an estimation as to what our costs are going to be and what type of results, the number of leads we can estimate, you know, coming in based upon the data and all that. And so that's how I've pitched that service as well, was the same way that Marco said. And that works well too. But I don't know about anybody that would just give you some flat out data about a particular niche and conversion rates. I would trust that data anyways without verifying it on my own. That makes sense.
Yeah, if I can add to what you were saying, Bradley, at some point after you've done this enough, you will have some benchmarks on your own. Like you will know that for example, you know, that we have been doing, like, let's put the example of Semantic Mastery, you know, or digital marketing on this case. You know that we can, or you know, after doing many landing pages, you know that you can crank out a landing page that will convert at 30% minimum, you know, or at 40% minimum. A webinar page that, depending on the traffic source, but it needs to convert at 30% minimum, you know? So you start having your own benchmarks because you know, after testing for a while on different, you know, landing pages, templates, whatever, you know what you can come up with. You know, I can set up a webinar that can convert at 15% minimum or at 8% minimum. So you start working on those numbers. I usually like going with the worst case scenario, you know, like if I know that the minimum viable conversion rate on the landing page should be, I don't know, 20% for me to be profitable, or at least to break even. But that's data that you're collecting with time. And the more you dive into a niche, the higher, the more data that you can come up with, and you can say, okay, so I have these templates, I have these traffic sources, so I know that these templates or these traffic sources can convert at X%, you know? So once you have that data, but that's after the fact, you know, there's little that you can do before the fact, so.
Very good. We're going to move on. Ivan says, hey guys, I just found out that you can embed a Facebook post. What would be a good place to put this? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. I haven't played with that either because I wasn't aware of that. I've embedded Tumblr posts, Google Plus posts, tweets, done a lot of that, but I've never done an actual Facebook post. Well, if you know anything about iframe stacking, and we've got a webinar series about that, where we talk about that, the RYS webinar series. If you haven't gone through that, Ivan, we encourage you to do so. It's free. I don't know if one of you guys want to drop the link for Ivan on the page to go through that, but we talk about iframe stacking in one of the webinars in that series. And that's a good place to start with. I haven't done any testing with Facebook posts per se. Marco, have you?
No, not with Facebook, but I mean, you can embed anything.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You can embed anything, Facebook, whatever. It makes no difference as long as you have the embed code, and you could do it. I mean, there's JavaScript embeds, and you can do HTML or iframe embeds. Right. You know, you could do both, but you can take anything unless they have an iframe breaker, which, like websites like the New York Times, they don't like being embedded anymore. I used to love embedding the New York Times everywhere because I used to get a lot of action and rank my clients that way. So now there's iframe breakers that they use. If they use those that you can't, yeah, you probably could encode it, but just W3C. Right? W3C is the place where you go for iframe tutorials. And it's fabulous. All of the information is there that you need. So, well, real quick, Hernan, let me interrupt just for 1 second because I just want to show something here, guys. For SEO Virginia, my Google site's #1, right? And #2 is a WordPress.com site that, look, guys, there's 0 content on this page. There's a title and a call to action, and the rest of the page is just embedded files, tweets, Google Drive files. All of those are just embedded. I think there's even an embedded Tumblr post on here. If there's not, I'm not sure if there is or not. But there's 0 content on this page, guys. 0 content. The only content on this page is this line of text right here. And look, I'm ranked #2 for SEO Virginia. So, you know, stacking, iframe stacks work, guys. Essentially, the Google site that's ranked #1 is a spun piece of garbage content with a bunch of iframes, right? Embedded drive files right on the page. And I take the position #1 and #2 using iframe stacks, guys. Get that? Yeah, again, if you haven't been through the RYS webinar series, I highly recommend you go through it. I was just about to say, it's called RYS Academy. Get it.
Yeah.
If you're not in, get in where you fit in, because it works. Like, it's still working. We still keep finding ways to rank more of our shit. Excuse the language. Merry Christmas. But we still keep finding ways to do it. So if you're not in, get in. It works.
Yeah. I was about to say that, I put the RYS video series on the event page. And also when it comes to Facebook posts, have in mind, Ivan, that You can also have like an iframe stacks within Facebook. That is, you can embed a post that has a video embedded, those kind of things that we are doing. But try to embed posts that are public. Like you can embed posts that are private too, but just, Google will not be able to crawl them because of privacy settings within Facebook. So if you're doing anything, just try that to be a post that it's public. Yeah, public post, and usually a page post, not a user post. So that's the only caveat that I would have when embedding Facebook posts.
Cool. Robert Tuppy says, Merry Christmas to all. Dealing with personas or semi-good money accounts or even a personal account, okay? In YouTube, I am trying to recall what has been said about not using the personal person of the account, but to build brand channels or just other channels for promoting videos. What if the person channel is not going to be filled with hundreds of thousands of videos, but a lot of, say, 100, but optimized properly and not a spammy junk hole? Okay. I'm trying to interpret the question here, but I think what you're asking is it okay to use a profile channel instead of a business channel, which would be like a page channel, guys? Is that okay? Sure, it's okay. It's fine. Guys, if you have, like, for example, I have my YouTube channel for Bradley Benner, right, which is not a page. It's my own profile channel. I use it for stuff. I don't use it for nearly as much as I used to because I do everything through Semantic Mastery or Mastery PR or whatever, those brand channels. But my point is I have SEO videos and a lot of training videos and stuff on my channel because it makes sense, right? It's what I do. And so it's perfectly fine. And by the way, my channel's super freaking powerful. If I want to rank a video for like a launch jack or something like that, I can do it through my channel, Bradley Benner, or I can do it through the Semantic Mastery channel. Either one, both of those channels are incredibly powerful. And it's because they're themed well, and there's been tons of activity over the years in both of those channels. So one's a brand channel, one's a profile channel. Either one is okay to use. Okay, what I recommend though is when you're building out, stuff for brands or for lead gen sites and things like that, is that you separate your pages or your business channels, which are essentially page channels, from one profile. In other words, don't put all of your business channels under one profile. I recommend for every new business, new lead gen site, new client, whatever, that you end up having the page owner under a different profile, right? So that you don't have, like, let's say you put 10 money channels under one profile account. And what happens if that profile account gets terminated? For some reason or another, you piss Google off and it terminates your account. You've lost every single one of those channels. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you guys want to use a profile instead of a brand or a page channel, you certainly can. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? It's just typically part of the reason why we've ended up usually always creating a page, a page channel for even a profile. When we're just creating persona networks, for example, we still create a page channel instead of just using the profile channel. The reason why we do that is because for the longest time, you could only syndicate through Buffer to a Google Plus page. You could not syndicate to a Google Plus profile. It wouldn't allow you to. It was against Google Plus's terms of service for automated posting to a profile. You could, however, to a page. But now it looks like in Buffer, you do have the option to actually connect a profile and syndicate to a profile as well. So again, if you want to use a profile, it's absolutely perfectly fine to do so. Okay. All right, there you go. Tommy's up. He says, when you use Majestic SEO, do you have to look at all the backlinks in the domain or only of the page that's ranking in the search results page I'm looking at? Okay, so to beat my competitor in the SERP, I have to replicate something similar to the links to that page or to the entire domain. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Tommy, it makes sense. Okay, so the official answer is that you should, Google doesn't rank websites, it ranks pages. Right? But that's the official answer. I'm using air quotes here because in all reality, that's not necessarily true. That's not really the case because Google does rank pages instead of websites. However, if a website is particularly is weighted enough within Google, if it's given enough weight, okay, so it carries enough authority in Google's eyes, then pages will rank because of the authority of the domain itself. And I'm not talking about Moz's domain authority metric, guys. I'm talking about the overall authority of the entire site. right? Not domain authority. Don't let me get you guys confused on that. I'm saying in Google's eyes, what is the authority? How much weight does Google give the entire site? Because then you can rank pages on that site a lot easier than, let's say, a domain that's new or that doesn't have any history or any authority built in Google's eyes. Does that make sense? So the official answer is that technically you should be able to just meet or exceed the page metrics and be able to outrank. That's, you know, theoretically, hypothetically, that's how it should work, but it doesn't, because Google does actually weight the pages based upon the overall authority of the domain itself, if that makes sense. So you really need to kind of straddle that line, Tommy, between trying to meet or exceed the page metrics, but also making sure that the entire domain has good quality inbound links, it's themed well, it's the internal, you know, the structure of the site is done well, all of that.
Can I?
Okay, you guys want to comment on that?
Yeah, I want to just jump in for some education for all of you guys here on these metrics and Moz and Majestic, Ahrefs and whatever else. Guys, they're third-party metrics. They're all guesses at what Google is doing. Nobody knows what Google is doing. When we talk about domain authority, your domain can actually be authoritative without having any domain authority in Moz.
That's true.
Your site can be trusted without having any trust flow in Majestic. It's up to Google to determine whether your website is authoritative and trusted. How do you do that? How do we do that? We call it IFTTT SEO. We've proven it time and again that with posting, when you set up your posting schedule and you stick to it, you produce quality content, you're in social media, you have your SEO shield, people are going to come to your website. That's going to send signals to Google, is going to tell them that it's trusted. You're setting up an entity, what's called a semantic web entity, where Google now sees you as transparent. They know that you're on social media. They know that you're active. They know that you're producing content. They know that you're producing content that people actually go and consume, which is what Google wants. And you can do all this without having, with actually zero metrics. We have channels, domains in Video Powerhouse that have zero metrics and have so much power that when a video is run or a playlist, it actually bumps up the trust flow and the domain authority metrics of the channel, of the video, and just overall with things that show zero as far as Majestic and Moz are concerned. So don't think so much. Don't get stuck on metrics. I know it's pretty. It's pretty to see 20 trust flow and 18 citation flow and topical trust flow. But the things that you need to look at is, are you connected to a seat site or a seat set? And if you are, how far are you? How far is the connection? How many hops is it? Because that's what matters. How close are you to one of the big websites that gives you all of that trust and authority that you need so that Google takes a look? Those are the things that you need to look at. Guys, anyone that's educating you on domain authority, trust flow, as the end all to it all is doing you a disservice. And sorry for getting on my soapbox, but you guys need to be educated. What you need to look at, is it themed?
That's right.
When you go buy when you go buy a PBN for a link for whatever it is that you're doing, is it themed? Is it relevant to whatever it is that you're doing? Due diligence, find out where the links are coming from. If those are quality links in the niche, you don't need an edu link. You don't need a .gov link. You need a trusted link in the niche. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. If not, then we probably need to do a webinar to re-educate people on these metrics that are driving people crazy.
Can I get an amen? Thanks, Marco. I appreciate
Amen.
it. All right. Moving on, Michael says, Merry Christmas to all of you IFTTT nerds out there. Awesome. I have a question that probably has been answered somewhere, but I missed it. I've only done branded tier 1 rings around money sites so far and have used the money site tier 1 YouTube channel just as a placeholder for all the link profiles. Can I take that tier 1 YouTube channel and put multiple tiers on it, or leave it as is and start another related YouTube channel and add as many tiers as I want to? If so, does that new channel link to the money site, and is it branded channel? No, just use the branded channel that you already have. There's no reason to create a second channel for that. You already have it, and you can stack as many networks on top of that channel as you want. In fact, Damon Nelson just released a RSS service. It's an app called RSS Masher, and it's pretty freaking cool. And he's actually got a webinar for anybody that purchases tonight at 7 p.m. I'm going to be on it, as well as another guest, and we're going to be talking about RSS and syndication and that kind of stuff. And using that, I now can say it's okay, in my opinion, to set up second tier blog syndication networks. In other words, set up tier 2 for blog syndication, where I've been for the last year and a half preaching against doing that. I mean, it can be done as long as you have related content feeds as tier 2 triggers to help theme to help theme your tier 2 networks, as well as minimize footprint. And I've been talking about that for a year and a half, but I've encouraged against doing that because it's been a real pain in the ass to work with multiple feeds from multiple sources, and there's a lot of things that can break down. But and so it's kind of a management nightmare when it comes to, if you're just managing one network or a couple of networks, that's one thing. But when you've got dozens or even hundreds of networks, it's damn near impossible. It's too cumbersome to manage all of that stuff with tier 2 blog syndication networks, where you need related content feeds and all that kind of stuff. With RSS Masher, that actually simplifies the process to a point where I think it is manageable. And I'm not encouraging people to go out and build tier 2 networks, but if it's something that you want to do, I can see that as being an absolutely viable option for feeding your tier 2 networks, minimizing footprint, updating and theming those networks on a consistent and regular basis, and at the same time being able to drive traffic to particular offers. Because in RSS Masher, you can put in what's called webhooks or hooks, money hooks as he calls them, money hooks. And money hooks are where you can insert your own links into the RSS feed, either above or below the content for each feed or each RSS feed. So very, very powerful, guys. And I think that that's something that can be done now using tier 2 networks for even blog syndication. But for YouTube syndication, there's never been a footprint issue. And provided that you're using the recipes as they're set up in the account workbook template, okay? And for that reason, you can stack as many networks, tier 2, tier 1, whatever, onto your YouTube channel, your branded channel already. That's absolutely fine. Because think about it, you're going to be pushing all that authority into that channel, which is now your branded channel that's intimately connected with your money site and your brand, right? And so you're going to be basically powering up the whole structure by juicing your YouTube channel. Okay, so yes, don't bother with another YouTube channel, Michael. That would be unnecessary, and it would actually not be as effective either. Very cool. Lori says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Chris G. Hernan mentioned an upcoming launch, but didn't catch what the product was for. Video Powerhouse. That's coming up in January, and that's our video embed network, as well as a maps embed network. Steven says,
and it's going to be awesome.
We're gonna kill the video industry.
Yeah.
We're gonna crush them. We're gonna crush them.
One of the questions of AdWords, Steven says, on the question of AdWords conversion rates, I agree with your analysis, Marco, Bradley, and Hernan. Here is something that I found that has some great info. Yeah, wordstream.com, by the way, guys, is a great blog for AdWords stuff. Steven, for pointing this out. That's probably going to be worth. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add it to my Pocket account now. I got a ton of really good AdWords articles in here now, so.
Yeah, Pocket it. I'm doing that too.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so thanks for that, Stephen. Let's see. I think I lost the Webby. Uh-oh. I guess not. Looks like everybody else is on. Video series. Okay, that's for RYS. Dylan says, can you discuss how you handle all time management effectively? Are there any programs or shortcuts that help you get more accomplished? Yes, several of them. Probably the best, as more of a time management planning like productivity type training or process or system, I guess I should say, that has really, really helped me a lot. Well, besides Work the System, which was by Sam Carpenter, which really got me beyond a certain, like glass ceiling that I had hit as a solopreneur. And that's where I learned how to start outsourcing, was basically from a $10 book. I got it from Kindle. I think I paid like $9 for Work the System by Sam Carpenter. Fabulous, outstanding book, changed my entire mindset and really helped me to scale my business quite a bit. And that, because of it, it opened up my mind to how to outsource when all the time, I had always resisted it before. So that was number one. But as far as time management goes, and I think one of the best books that I found for that is the 12-Week Year. It's called The 12-Week Year. It's by one of the guys from the Keller Williams Realty office or whatever, I think. No, I'm thinking of that one thing. Anyways, it's called The 12-Week Year. There's also recently been something very similar. I don't know who originated the idea first, but I know that there's been kind of in the entrepreneurship world right now, there's been some 90-week or what is it, a 90-day year plan or something like that that's being promoted. And it's very similar, right? A 12-week year or a 90-day year. So I don't know who came first, which one was the chicken and which one was the egg. I don't know, but I can tell you that the 12-week year was very, very effective for me as far as how to plan out, projects in 90-day cycles as opposed to like 12-month cycles. And we've gotten a shit ton accomplished since we started using that. And as far as like just on a daily basis on how to organize your time the best, there's a really good book. It's rather long for the principle, but it's called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And that's been very effective for me as well. And essentially it just means every night, plan your day out for the following day. Just take 15 minutes and use a whiteboard or a scratch pad, something you can write on, and write down what is your most important activity for the following day. And just write a list, 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 or whatever. Typically you're not going to have more than like 5 main items, but always put the highest priority, the thing that's going to have the most effect or impact on your business or your finances. Have that as your number one most important item. Prioritize that and put that at the top of the list, and don't work on anything else until that's done. Now, if it's a large project, you have to break the large project down into, bite-sized pieces, so to speak, and then tackle a piece every single day. But my point is, if you prioritize like what is the most important activity, then you're always focusing on the most important activity. Because guys, remember, there's a big difference between being busy and getting shit done, right? We can all be busy checking emails and, optimizing title tags of videos that, have maybe dropped a couple spots in the rankings. We can always be busy, but are we going to be effective and are we going to get stuff done that's really going to move our business forward, right? That's what you should always be thinking about. What am I doing right now? Is this the best use of my time? What other higher level tasks could I be doing that's going to give me advance my business further, other than what I'm doing right now? And for all that other stuff, a lot of the other stuff that we do to stay busy is oftentimes insignificant, and it's stuff that we should be outsourcing anyways, or completely just ignore it and forget about it because it's not really going to, move our business forward, whether we do it or not anyways, right? It's insignificant.
Yeah, I was just about to jump in and say, isn't Dylan in our mastermind?
He is. Yeah.
He has access to Outsource Kingpin. Apply Outsource Kingpin, and you're gonna have a lot more free time to manage effectively. That's going to free up so much of your time just applying Outsource Kingpin, getting some VAs to help you out, to take off all of the tedious crap that you get involved in that you shouldn't be doing, because you should be concentrating on how to grow your business, not having to do the grunt work. And then everything else, like answering every single email, going through every single email until you find the important email, just tedious shit that you don't need to be doing. So Dylan, Outsource Kingpin, man, you're going to find a whole lot more free time once you go through that and apply it.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with what you guys are saying. And in fact, many of our students are kind of afraid of outsourcing for two main reasons. One is that they do not have a process in place so that they can handle hand over to somebody else, you know, to do whatever you're trying to do. So outsource skimping will put you in the place that you need to be in order to start generating those processes, which do take time and do take work, you know, to start generating those processes. But the reality is that once you generate them, you can hand over those processes to anyone. So that's number one. And number two, many people, and I was making this mistake in the past, and this happens to, you know, I think that this applies to everything in life, not only our work or businesses, but anything in life. Like if you do your own gardening, or if you do, I don't know, if you're trying to repair your own car, you know, if you're trying to answer your own emails, like if you could be getting paid, like, I don't know, $250, $300, $500 an hour, and you're making, you know, if you're performing $50 an hour tasks, then you're not saving those $50. In fact, for every hour that you're spending doing that, you have just lost $450.
But opportunity cost.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have just lost $450. So every time I tend to do something that, you know, will cost me less than, you know, $10 or $20, even $50 to complete, and I say I could be doing something else that would give me, you know, 10 times that, I'm not saving that money. I'm actually losing it. You know, I'm losing the upside potential that I could have. So thinking like that will allow you to, you know, instead of I'm saving $50, I'm losing 450 every hour that I'm doing this. We'll put things into perspective enough so that you can take action and start outsourcing and start getting VAs. And the good thing about outsource skimping is that it takes the guesswork completely out of the equation, because it's a proven process that will get you only the best and the finest VAs. That's another sticky point. You know, many people have hired VAs, you know, going to Upwork, got, I don't know, 200,000 replies, you know, yeah. And then you need to handpick everything. It's a cumbersome process, and maybe you end up with subpar people that just disappear, etc. Well, we have gone through that, and we have developed a process so that you do not need to get that, and 95% of it is automated. It's magic. I mean, really, every time we need to go out and fight somebody for Semantic Master, even for our own task, like Adam recently or my own, whatever. You go out there and you applied outsource skimping, and you only get the best of the best. And it's crazy the quality of people that you can get working on your team for the price. Sometimes it's mind-blowing, you know? Yeah. Yep. So it's super, super powerful. And you could develop a super strong company and a team of committed people without having to break the bank, and without having, you know, to go through 95% of what's stopping you to going through it. So go ahead and check it out. If you, I know that Dylan's in the mastermind, so he gets access to that. If you guys are not, if you haven't purchased outsource skimping, I strongly suggest that you invest that money, which is nothing compared to the upside that you can get, or you can join the mastermind and you can get the whole shebang for free. You know, the other products under $300, etc., etc., etc.
And just a thought on that, Dylan, because we had you were there, so we had a kind of a brief 1-hour webinar for Mastermind members on Monday of this week. And I was talking specifically about an affiliate campaign that I've been setting up in Masterclass and Mastermind. You guys that are in that are aware of it. But I'm learning, you know, I'm working on driving traffic through AdWords and now Google Display Network as well. And so I'm doing a lot of traffic generation testing right now. And but I've got this affiliate funnel that I've, you know, an opt-in funnel where I'm building an email list, and I'm doing well at building, you know, right now anywhere between 10 to 15 subscribers per day based upon the PPC campaigns that I have set up. So I'm focusing on learning the traffic, the paid traffic side of things right now. So the email list that I'm building, the autoresponder sequence is terrible because it takes me like 2 hours. It's very painful for me to write. I can write fairly well, but it just takes me forever. And so in order to have a decent autoresponder sequence, it would literally take me 40, 50, 60 hours to write you know, a 3 or 4 week autoresponder sequence. I'm not kidding. So it would literally take me a week to 2 weeks of steady writing all day long, or a few hours a day for 6 or 8 weeks. And to me, it's just not worth it. So just like what Hernan was saying, I just went to Upwork and I hired a copywriter. I sent a job invitation out to 5 different copywriters, told them to respond with a cover letter, some examples of their work. And I found an outstanding copywriter that fits my niche specifically. And I'm I'm paying them to write the autoresponder sequence. And again, that if I would have done it myself, I could have saved, in air quotes, $500 or whatever I'm paying for the autoresponder sequence. $500, $1,000, $250, doesn't matter. I could have, theoretically, I could have saved that, right? But that's not really at what cost? If I was spending 2 hours a day writing an email that I could have been spending 2 hours a day working on generating more traffic to my opt-in page, which would have a better monetary value for me in the long run. You know what I mean? Either building my list or writing an email. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's one of those things like Hernan said, there's an opportunity cost to everything you do. So if you're working on $10 an hour stuff, you're not getting the $200 an hour stuff done that you should be doing as your business owner, right? You're the owner of your own business. You should be working on the high level $200 an hour tasks, or, and hiring out the $10 an hour tasks or the $5 an hour tasks or even the $50 an hour tasks, if that makes sense. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. Lewis is up. He says, any ideas on how I can get my Google business listed? Have attempted several times and I'm on my last chance to get approved for a local business. I work my office out of my home and I'm listed in the local site for Yahoo, Bing, and Apple, but not Google. Any thoughts? I'm not sure what the problem is, Lewis. You shouldn't be having any issues if you added your site through Google My Business. If you created a listing in Google My Business, and they should be sending you a verification postcard, right? Well, it's not really a postcard. It looks like a postcard, but you have to open it up, right? That's really all that should be required. I don't know why you're not receiving that. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't know what other issues are there, Lewis. Without having more details, it's kind of hard for me to give you any advice on that. Go ahead, Marco.
I've heard of people getting turned away because they're in a residential area rather than a place
I've never
where
had that happen.
But I've had it happen. So maybe that's the problem that he ran into.
Well,
but he
if
should
that's
be
the
able
case,
to call them and get it straightened out and explain what it is that he's doing.
yeah, that Google My Business help support or whatever is better than it used to be. I don't know how responsive they are, like how quick they are to respond. So Lewis, if you haven't attempted reaching out to Google directly through their support channels and trying to get that resolved, that can be a bit of a nightmare. The other way, and the only reason I say that is because I mentioned this on the Mastermind webinar earlier this week. I had a client that their listing disappeared in Maps last year. It was around springtime last year in 2015. And we ended up having to get Google support involved. And they did admit that it was a problem on their end, but it took them 6 months to, well, not 6 months. It was about 4 months, maybe 4.5 months to get it fixed. And for 4.5 months, my clients' Maps listing was gone. It was gone. And they were #1 in Maps for 3 years up until that point. So it was really strange. And so dealing with Google support sucked because it took 4.5 months to get it resolved, even though they admitted that it was their problem. So my guess is, like, if you have to deal with support, like if you adamantly want your GMB listing tied to your home address because you got a home office, then, like, for example, if you have customers for your business come to your location, I would assume you don't, since it's at your house. You have a home office. Typically, people that work out of their home don't have customers come to their location. So there's no need to show your address and to have a Maps pin. People aren't going to be requesting driving directions. If that's the case for you, then you're probably going to want to do that anyways, right? So, but my suggestion is, if you don't require customers to come to you, then you can always register a P.O. box at your local post office, use the street address option, and then register that as your business address, right? And then hide the address from Maps, which is an option inside of Google My Business when you set up your listing. Don't hide the address until after you get your verification postcard in the mail, though. But that's what I do, because that's what I've got a lot of local lead gen sites set up that way, and I prefer it that way. So anyways, just try those and see, you know, again, if you have to have a maps pin on at your house because of people coming, you know, requesting driving directions, that kind of stuff, then you're probably going to want to reach out to Google My Business Support and get involved with them. I know they're more responsive than they used to be. I don't know how quick they are to resolve issues, though. They're like the federal government. They're slow to move. But, you know, if you don't need a pin tied to your house, then I would recommend just getting a PO box, because that would separate your business directly from your home address anyways, which in my opinion is a smarter way to go. Just for, you know, I don't want people to know my home address if possible. All right. David's up. Sorry, could you repeat when the RSS Master webinar with Damon is? It's tonight at 7 p.m., but it's only for RSS Master buyers, I believe. So you have had to have purchased it to be on the webinar, because we're going to be, it's like a bonus webinar for purchasers. Okay. Dylan says, thanks, Bradley and Marco. Makes sense. Break it down into smaller time increments and set goals that way. Oh, yeah. I've got 2 interviews going right now for a writer and a website editor. Awesome, Dylan. Congratulations, man. Keep it up. Kurt says, for a local business with several locations in GMaps, does each location have to have a separate local phone number, or can a toll-free number work? Okay, a toll-free number can work, Kurt, but there's a few issues with that. Number one, if you have the same business name, the brand name, and you have the same phone number, but you have different, okay, so when it comes to citations, there's really 4 data points that Google's looking at, right? For citations, there's name, address, phone number, and web address. Those are the 4 main data points, right? People always say NAP, but the web address counts too. Okay, so that's NAP plus the URL, or the web address, right? So typically you can have one of those data points be the same as long as the other 3 data points, whichever they are unique. There shouldn't be any citation issues, right? There shouldn't cause any NAP issues when you're building citations to the individual locations. So that typically means it's like the business name is going to be the same, but when you're talking about a business with multiple locations, I just mentioned, typically it's only one data point can be the same across multiple locations, and that is usually going to be the business name. Right? Because the addresses, the locations are going to be different. The phone numbers should be unique, in my opinion. The web addresses should be unique, because you should have, at the very least, separate location pages on your domain for each location. Or the way that I prefer to do it is set up subdomains for each location. But again, it doesn't matter. You can have just separate pages for each location if you don't want to build out separate sites on subdomains. That's absolutely fine to do. Because then, at least with those unique other data points, there's no NAP issues when you start building citations. When you start to share 2 or more of the same data points, that's when it will start to create issues. Because now you have the same name, and in your case, the same phone number across multiple locations. The only thing that now there's only 2 unique data points: your physical location, your physical address, and your web address, if you've got unique pages for each location, which you should. So now it's going to start to create some NAP issues, which can negatively affect all of your listings for that business. And so you can do it, Kurt. I don't ever. In fact, I've had customers or clients that have asked me to, you know, that resisted me when I encouraged them to purchase local virtual phone numbers, you know, forwarding numbers from Vumber or Callfire or Twilio or whatever. I've had customers or clients resist that and you know, no, we don't want that, blah blah blah. But I've always explained to them why it's, you know, and encourage and basically told them in order for me to be able to be effective, I needed to have separate numbers. The other part of that, Kurt, is if you have a separate number for each location, you can also track call volume per location. Whereas with the 1-800 number, unless you're using like something with extensions and stuff like that, which for tracking purposes, you can have like, you know, an 800 number and then they press an extension and that kind of stuff. You could do that. But typically having individual phone numbers for each location is going to give you that unique NAP, which is critical in my opinion, and also give you tracking abilities that you wouldn't have otherwise had. Okay. So again, I really highly encourage you to use separate phone numbers if possible. You can attempt to do it that way with an 800 number, but just know that it could potentially cause problems, and it will affect all of the sites for that brand and not just one location. Okay. Dylan says, thank you, great philosophy. Give yourself an hourly wage and outsource tasks that are under that hourly wage. That's absolutely correct, Dylan. You always got to be thinking about that. Lewis says, the card never arrives and they are saying it was sent. Call Google, but again, no help. Yeah, okay. Now, I've had that issue, Lewis, where I've ordered the card and it doesn't come, but I've got the email from Google, which they just started doing like within the last 6 months, sending an email and saying your card has arrived. And I had that happen recently with a case study site that I set up in Richmond, Virginia, which is like an hour-and-a-half drive for me. And they sent me an email and said that the card had arrived, and I drove an hour and a half to the post office to get it. And guess what? It wasn't there. So that sucks when that happens. So what I would encourage you to do is I'm not going to throw one of our mastermind members under the bus, but if you can find somebody that is a Google local guide, that I know one of our mastermind members, I'm not going to throw his name out here on Hump Day Hangouts, but one of our mastermind members is a level 5 Google local guide, which that takes a lot of work to get there. And there's benefits associated with Google level 5 local guides. And I had a listing that the postcard wasn't coming for it either. And I had requested it twice, and both times it hadn't come at all. And I had him go actually upload a photo to the listing. It was an unpublished listing, and then write a review for that business as a level 5 guide. And then about 3 days later, the postcard arrived because he was a Google level 5 guide, and he added a photo and then he added a review for the business, which kind of like verified the entity. Like it validated the entity, if that makes sense, because a level 5 guide validated it by commenting and engaging with that listing, if that makes sense. So that might be something, Lewis, that you have to try. I know it worked for me by leaning on one of our mastermind members. So, okay. So again, sorry about, I don't know what else to tell you. I know I've never called Google for help. Well, I have once, but I've always gone via their email system. And that's how I've resolved issues when I've had to deal directly with Google support, is via email. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but I know you can access it through AdWords too, because I've had to, through the AdWords dashboard, you can get to Google Help. So we go to our customers. Well, then there you go. No pin needed, Lewis. Honestly, if you don't need a pin, then I would avoid going through Google, and I would go ahead and change the address on the Google My Business listing to a PO box that you go rent from your local post office, and use the street address option. Okay, and in fact, if you Google USPS or U.S. Post Office street PO box street address option, you'll see there will be a PDF form that you can download and print out, and you can fill that PDF form out and take it. It's one page. It doesn't cost any extra, and you can take that to the post office with you when you go to rent a PO box and hand them that, and they will give you the street address of the post office and a box number instead, and you can verify it that way. If you don't need the pin at your location, that's the best way to go. Okay. All right, we got to wrap it up. Lori's asking, is there a link to purchase RSS Master? I don't know. I think it's closed right now, Lori, because the launch is over. I know we do have, we still have backdoor access for people to buy through our link, but I don't have that link right offhand, Lori. I'll make a note of it, and I'll see if I can get it today, sometime this evening, and send it over to you, Lori. And I'm pretty sure there will be a replay for Damon's webinar inside the members area, but I'll try to ping you or plus mention you on Google Plus here with the link once I get that set up. Okay, so I'm actually making a note of that right now. I'll try to get that to you, Lori, before the webinar tonight, if possible. If not, like I said, I'm sure there will be, well, I'm not sure because it's Damon's, but I'm pretty sure there will be a replay from the bonus webinar tonight inside the members area. Okay. Okay, Kurt's got one too. Guys, you know what I'll do? If I can pull it, if I can get it set up, I'm not sure if it's set up already or not, but I'll put it right here on the event page, guys. So just come back and check the event page, okay? I'll try to get it over here. All right. Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. Merry Christmas to all. We will see you guys next week.
Sounds good, everybody. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow on the webinar. It's going to be a ton of fun. So,
yep.
Bye, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. See y'all later.
Bye.
All right. Bye.